My name's Randall Goosby. I'm a violinist, currently based in New York City. I would say what draws me to Mendelssohn's music is, in a way, the simplicity of it. I think it's one of the more accessible, or rather he is one of the more accessible sort of composers in the canon, really. It's similar to Mozart for me in a way in that it's just so exposed. You know, it's very clear, I think, what the music is doing and saying, and it's really up to me or up to whoever the performers are to sort of translate into their own language. You know, in terms of the concerto, I mean, by all accounts that I know of, it's a kind of perfect piece in a way. You know, it has everything you would want in a piece of music. It's got the drama, the intimacy, the sort of dazzling display, you know, the virtuosity. So I'm really, really excited to be sharing it with you all in the Philharmonia. So one of the things that's really unique about the concerto, especially in relation to concertos before Mendelssohn's time, is that all three movements are attacca. So there's no breaks between the movements, which for those audience members that enjoy clapping between movements may be a bit of a change. I personally never mind when the audience claps because I take it as a sort of sign of appreciation, but you know, that is something that we hadn't seen up until that point, and Mendelssohn really took it upon himself to sort of break from the mold in that way. Well, one of the most surprising things is actually that the violin introduces all of the themes at the beginning of the concerto. You have 2 bars of the tutti, so in a way it's nice because you're warming up backstage and you go on, you have 2 measures of rest and you start, right? Whereas with something like the Beethoven, you warm up, you go out, and you stand there for 5 minutes while the orchestra plays, and suddenly you have to come in with this incredibly difficult passage work. So that's one of the surprising things. I guess it doesn't really pop out so much on the score. What does pop out, though, is that the cadenza, which traditionally comes sort of at the very end of the concerto, happens really in the middle. The violin takes this sort of very virtuosic, very athletic sort of passage work in the cadenza, and following, you know, coming out of the cadenza, the violin is actually accompanying the orchestra, which is sort of unusual for a concerto. You know, you come out of this, the cadenza starts in a very sort of declamatory way. But at the end of the cadenza, I'm left with these sort of ricochets. And I sort of get to just enjoy the orchestra playing the melodies behind me. One of the more challenging technical bits in the piece is actually, funnily enough, it's not in the first or third movements, which are faster, a little bit more virtuosic. It actually comes in the second movement, and the violin has these sort of ostinato double stops along. So you're playing the melody and you're also accompanying yourself at the same time. So it's something like. This is one of the bits I found the most challenging when I was first learning the concerto, which was probably 10 years ago or so. And I always come back to this area. It's one of those places that you always sort of just have to sort of, it's like flossing. You kind of have to do it. It's kind of tedious work, but one of the challenges is obviously making sure that both lines are clear and heard and they're not sort of getting in each other's way. So one of the things that I like to do is actually separate them. So I'll practice one line at a time, but making sure that my left hand is playing all of the notes. So my right hand is only on one string, the bow's only on one string at a time. So if I were to play the beginning, well, actually maybe I'll demonstrate the melody line first. And it just sort of keeps you honest. It keeps you from cheating, right? Because you can sort of disguise it. You know what I mean? And it's easy to sort of cheat that way, especially when you're nervous about it, or maybe if you haven't practiced it quite enough. So then the opposite. And you see there, I sort of have to make extra sure that those shifts are very, very clear, because it's easy for that stuff to get muddled. So once you're comfortable playing both lines separately on separate strings, then you can sort of start to put it together, and whatever areas are still a bit of an issue in terms of coordination will make themselves very, very clear. So I hope that's helpful to some of the students watching. So thrilled to be sharing multiple masterpieces with the Philharmonia and its audience. I've probably listened to recordings of the Philharmonia my entire life. It's an incredibly historic and storied ensemble, so there will probably be a little bit of nerves that come into play, and just sort of standing and understanding the history of the group that I'm playing with. As I mentioned earlier, one of the most exciting things about this work is being able to play with so many different people, so many different places, so many different traditions. So I don't know entirely what to expect, but that's one of the things that makes it really exciting for me. So I really can't wait.